Welcome to the Texas High School Football Coaches Show on Lone Star Gridiron. I'm Chris Daly, and it's my belief that the men that make up the fraternity of Texas high school football coaches are much more than a bunch of thick-necked guys with whistles. They do so much more than teach technique and the X's and O's of football. They take young boys and change them into young men of character. They get kids to believe in themselves, to trust others, and to put others ahead of themselves. Texas high school football coaches are unique in how they impact the lives of these athletes as well as the generations those kids touch. In this show, I sit down with a different Texas high school football coach each time and learn about them. Not their record, not their on-field accomplishments, but who they are and what they believe and what it means to be part of the greatest sport in the greatest state. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Lone Star Gridiron Texas High School Football Coaches Show, Season 4, Episode 12. My guest today from early high school is Coach Blake Sandford. I will introduce you to him right after this. Hey, I want to give a big thank you to this season's title sponsor, Mecca Sportswear, where they are all about celebrating achievement. They're honored that so many high schools, colleges, and universities have chosen Mecca's products to represent their institutions. Mecca supplies you with the very best in custom letter jackets, chenille letters, patches, blankets, banners, pins, certificates, and much more to motivate and celebrate achievement in athletics, academics, or the arts. They create high-quality custom awards that will fit your budget. To see why so many great schools around Texas choose Mecca Sportswear, call Sherry Armstrong or Billy Armstrong at 210-651-6592. Mecca Sportswear, the premier suppliers of letter jackets and awards for over 40 years. Hey, I want to introduce you to our newest sponsor. It is 99 Pledges. And if you're looking for a quick and easy way to raise a bunch of money for your sports team, 99 Pledges is the best way for football teams and booster clubs to raise the most money with the least amount of effort. Donors can donate online. Each player gets their own donation page that they can share with their friends and family all over the country, like grandparents in Florida by email, text, Facebook, or any of the social media outlets. By going online with 99 Pledges, it's easy to spread the word about your fundraiser, keep everyone involved and informed. Because of this, 99 Pledges has seen teams raise over $30,000. And teams like the Katy Tigers have exceeded their fundraising goal. That's the best part. Teams keep an average of 95% of what they raise. Players don't have to go door to door or track down donations. They can save all that energy for where it counts, on the gridiron. Check them out at 99pledges.com. They are an excellent organization. You're going to be so glad that your next fundraiser is through these guys. All right, everybody, join me in welcoming Coach Blake Sandford from early high school to the show. Coach, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm really, really happy, and it's these are good days here in the, what we're doing, and I'm kind of happy as a clam right now, so I'm doing really well.
I like it. Happy is a good thing. So,
yeah, well, except I got to do a Dancing with the Stars, and for the Rotary Club to help some kids out, and I saw a dance move with some senior citizens, and I told my wife we need to try this thing, and sure enough, I dropped her smooth on her head.
Oh,
and I thought, well, I can do this dance move because I always thought I was a really, really good dancer, but I found out real quickly that I'm not as good a dancer as I thought I should be, and so we have to readjust our routine. So
yeah, definitely, yeah, take it easy. So, as you know, first we start out talking about your involvement with football itself. Where was the first time in your life that you discovered this game?
My dad was a coach, and he coached out in West Texas, and I rode on the bus with him coming back from games, and his players back in those days when I was growing up, his players would come by and they would pick me up and take me around and all that kind of stuff. And I was I was exposed very, very young to the game of football, and that's what I kind of always wanted to do before I even started playing the game.
Nice. And then tell me about where you went to high school, what you played, stuff like that.
Well, I went to high school. I went to Round Rock Westwood. It's in the Round Rock School District, but it's in Austin. It's got an Austin address, and that's where I went 4 years of high school. Well, actually 3 years. The first year, ninth grade, I went to Round Rock Ninth Grade Center. They hadn't built Westwood yet, and I graduated in '84, and it just had a great time playing and getting to experience all the things that are happening with big school football.
Like what positions you play?
I was always in seventh grade. I was a quarterback until the coach asked me if I knew the plays, and I didn't really know the plays. I could throw a spiral, and that was it. He said, "Hey, Blake, you know the plays?" And I said, "Well," and he said, "That's okay. You step on back." And so I was made into a receiver, and I played receiver all through the rest of my career.
Nice. Me too. Cool. So now let's go with where you went off to college and when you figured out you wanted to be a coach.
I wanted to play after I got, as I was going through high school, I knew I wanted to play in college. I was certainly, I'm not one of those guys that brags about when they catch a fish and the fish keeps getting bigger by the side, the hands get wider and wider. I don't ever brag to any of my kids now about my athletic prowess, but I did want to go play college ball, and I went to Tarleton, and I played there for 2 years, and I really enjoyed it. And it was an experience that I think if a kid desires to do something, there's nothing that can stop them if they truly desire to go do something. They just make their mind up and find a way to get it done. And I found a way to get it done, and I went to Tarleton and played there for 2 years, and certainly was not any. Again, it was a similar to my high school career. I'm not going to brag about anything that I did or didn't do because I was just a very, very average type of guy. But I soaked it all in and paid attention to those guys who really were good players and of course my coaches. And then I thought, well, I want to go try a bigger school. I went to Sam Houston and found out real quickly that I was not going to play football there, and so I decided to just go and be a student. I played rugby and finished there at Sam Houston. Nice.
And when was the decision to become a coach?
It was pretty early in my high school career. That's what I knew I was going to do. I was going to be a coach from there on out. At one point, I think I kind of fiddled around with maybe being a firefighter, but I knew right away that I was going to coach in high school and in college, and then there on since. Nice.
So, if you could take us stop by stop now, every position you've had since you got out of college.
My first. When I was finishing up at Sam Houston, I was trying to get a master's degree with a teaching certification. Well, somehow, some way, and I put myself through college. We lost our loan papers, and I wasn't able to continue my master's degree. And I said, they said, you can take out another loan. I said, I don't need to take out another loan. I got too many loans right now as it is. So I went to work for 5 years or 4 years in construction and tried to make some money and went back and got certified after that, and I was hunting around. I went to coaching school to try to find a job. I had no jobs. My dad had plenty of contacts, and I was trying to talk to those contacts, and one of them brought me to my first coaching school in Fort Worth. He said, you need to just put your resume on this job board and see what happens. And so I went in there, and that job board, there's lots of coaches and lots of guys trying to find jobs, and I got a few interviews, but nothing really ever stuck. And so I just kept looking and searching, and finally found this little old town called Bremond, and I thought, I don't even know where Bremond is. And so I looked it up on the map, and it was a 1A school back then, and with one light, and I thought, I'll just go over there. And there was a position for head basketball and head baseball and assistant football. And I thought, I didn't play baseball in high school. I got cut as a freshman. I got cut as a 7th grader in basketball, and I said, well, but I can figure it out. Mm-hmm. So I went up there and interviewed with this man named Wendell Robinson, who's in the Texas Hall of Honor and coaching legend. And I interviewed with him, and he looked up at me and said, what do you want? And I said, well, I want a job. He said, come over here and sit down. And I thought he was going to eat me my first time I got to talk to him. He was just a big old bear of a man, and ended up being just like another dad to me, though, when it all got settled. And I started my career there in Bremond for 2 years, being the head basketball and head baseball, and we won a lot of football games, won a lot of baseball games. Didn't win too many basketball games, but we had a lot of fun doing it. And from there, Wendell took a job in Bangs, and so in Bangs, I went with him to Bangs, and then his son Bo joined us. Bo's now at Yoakum, but Bo Robinson joined us in Bangs. We won a lot of games in Bangs, and I was there in Bangs for 4 years, and right across down the road from Bangs, there's a little town called Early, right outside of Brownwood. And I said, well, I'm going to try Early out and go be a baseball coach. So I went to Early and was the assistant. I guess I was a receiver coach and head baseball coach. Went to Early, and then from there I took off and started moving around kind of a little bit. I was there Early for 4 years after being at Bangs for 4, and I went to Sweetwater, and that's where I got hooked up with Kent Jackson and got hooked up with him. So I'm working with 2 really, really, really good head coaches, soaking this all up. At Sweetwater, we won lots of ball games, had a good time doing it, and getting to coach in the Mustang Bowl and getting to experience a lot of different things that we didn't experience. You're just taking it all in, and that's what I tell my young coaches. You need to learn from me, but you need to learn from other coaches too, and try to soak it up. So now we had 2 different styles of coaching, and we went to Frisco and opened up a new school in Frisco, and actually, I went to Hamilton for a year to help a buddy out because that was his first coaching job in Hamilton. But then I took back up with Coach Jackson in Frisco, and then we went to Lubbock Coronado. From there, and then back to Brownwood High School, and got to work with Coach Shipley, who's at University of Texas now, and then back to Early, and that's kind of the few. I think that's 8 schools that I've been at. So it's been a kind of a cool and wild ride, but I've been able to work with some fantastic coaches, head coaches, and great coaches, assistant coaches. I got to be a part of all these different and great programs.
Nice. If you could talk about that aspect of it, a lot of people hear about the coaches getting fired and having to look for new jobs, and how volatile the coaching carousel is. But talk about that friendship and making connections with other coaches, and how important that is in your career.
Well, if you've been doing it as long as we've been doing it with some of us that run in my circle, then you end up becoming more. It's more about all the relationships with the kids, which is first and foremost, but the relationships with the faculty, the administration, parents, and then your fellow coaches. And when you have a good time doing it, anything that you're doing, then it ends up becoming it's fun to wake up in the morning. It doesn't become a job. It's not about a paycheck. So if the powers that be decide that they want to move in a different direction, well, that's okay. I mean, that's not a big deal at all. You'll just go find you another job, because that's another opportunity to spread some of those concepts and those things that are going to drive us to build these young men and young women to a greater adulthood. Well, I've been at 8 schools, and so there's countless of kids that I've been able to touch and touch their lives and be a part of their deal, throughout the course of, that's why they keep coming back, and they say, wow, I really appreciate you doing this, Coach. Well, it's being a part of that community, being a part of those, that culture of that each and every school, and being a part of those other coaches' lives, and getting to see those people grow and mature and be successful in their life. So the volatility never really, I don't think I get bent out of shape on that kind of stuff, just because, there's an old quote that says there's coaches that are going to be fired and coaches that are fired, or something like that. Whatever that quote is, I understand that, and I said, but then again, it's okay to get new clothes too at your next school, different colors. Say, wow, I got some new shirts that I get to try on, and new shorts and all that kind of stuff too. It's just kind of, there's always a new freshness that comes about when you go to a different school.
Definitely, and you got to have a good attitude, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, and that's the biggest part of all of everything that we do, whether it's your job that you're doing or my job that I'm doing. If you have just a sorry attitude, then how are you ever going to have a good day, or how are you ever going to have a good career or a good life? When I go out of this place, when I take my last breath, I hope to have a good smile on my face. Say, well, it was a good ride, it was fun. Because if it's not fun, you need to do something different. And it doesn't matter about money. It doesn't matter about, the circumstances. It just matters about having a good time and being able to build those relationships, whether it's with those kids, with the kids or your fellow coaches or your administration or your parents or whatever it is. And certainly your wife and spouse at home.
Definitely. So if you could, you mentioned quite a few coaches, some pretty impressive ones. If you could kind of mention some of the specifics you learned from each of those.
Well, and I hate to, I don't want to leave anybody out, but certainly with Coach Robinson, with Wendell, he reminded me a lot of my dad, and what that aspect, what I mean by that is, when I was young and Dad was taking me to work in East Austin, one of my first jobs, it's been 40 years, but I think it was 12 or something, and he was driving me into East Austin, and I said, hey, Dad, do we got to go to work today? And he says, well, let me ask you this, Blake, do you want to eat today? And I said, well, yes, sir, I do want to eat today. He said, well, then we're going to work today. And so I learned right then that no matter how smart or dumb I was, and I was more on the dumb side than anything else, if I learned if you could just work and do your job and work and take ownership and that kind of stuff, then you're going to be pretty successful. So when I got that first job with Wendell Robinson, that's the one thing that he carried into that reminded me and related so much to what my dad did. And it was a hard-working man. I mean, he worked his tail off, and when I saw him work, I had to go to work. And when we were going to ball games together, he and it was freezing, and he wasn't shivering at all. That made me not shiver. And I just learned right then and there that he's going to do it his way, and he's going to do it the right way, and he's going to work very, very hard at doing that kind of stuff. Well, that's one of the things I learned from him. What I learned from Coach Jackson is that he is such a people person. He's a great communicator. He's great with getting the kids and the townsfolk and everybody riding the same, getting on the same, riding for the brand is what he used to say. We're all going to ride for this brand just like the old Cowboys did in the Old West, and you're going to get on this train and be a believer. And so I learned, tremendous amount of stuff from that, not only with, you can develop great friendships with these guys, but also develop how to run a program as well. And that's one of the great things that he was able to do, was to get everybody on board and get to believing, because that's all we want our kids to do anyway, is to believe in something. And you want coaches to believe in kids and kids to believe in coaches, and everybody going in the same direction. With Coach Shipley, he was, the things I learned from him were, similar along the, a combination of both, Coach Robinson and Coach Jackson. Just, you're going to get out there, you're going to work real hard, we're going to treat the kids right, we're going to do it in a great Christian manner. And so it's just a fun way to see how all these great coaches are able to do this kind of stuff and do it with, and all of them. What they did first was put the kids first. It's always about the kids. What's best for kids is what's best for us.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of coaches have told me that this isn't a job, it's a calling. And at the end of the night, when you lay down your head and close your eyes, you have some comfort based on your relationship with those kids. If you could, talk about that.
Well, in today's society, and I don't know if it's any different than any other time in America, but in today we have so many, fatherless homes, and we have so many homes where these young men they don't know what it is to be a man, and that's one of the things that I'm really big on right here in early. with an uncommon man type of situation where I'm going to teach them things that they're going to need to know: how to tie a tie, how to shake a hand, how to look you in the eye, how to take care of your business, how to treat your spouse right, how to treat your mom and dad right, how to do those kinds of things. That's when I lay my head down. I'm going to do that every day. And how do I do that every day is that I'm going to speak to kids. I try to speak to all of our athletes each and every single day. Do something, whether it's, hey, great job, or hey, come on, let's go. And it's going to be something. And if I do that every single day, I feel good about it when I go to bed at night, knowing that I've done something to make an impact in their life, even if it's small, because if you keep saying good job to someone over and over and over and over, before long, if he didn't have any confidence, he's going to start to get the confidence. And I tell those kids all the time, why is it that I got more confidence in you than you do? Let's change that right now. And so those are the things that and that's not, I don't know if I'm labeling it as a calling as more as I'm going to, they've got a dad or they've got a father figure or a male figure in their life. Well, I'm going to be that other guy. I'm going to be that guy that's going to be consistent every single day. These kids don't see me have a bad day. Now, I may get after their donkey every once in a while, but they don't see me have a bad day. They're going to see me consistent. They're going to see me riled up, fired up, energetic up, everything that I got to do to make sure that they know that when they come to athletics every single day, that's the best part of their day.
I love it. And by the way, I'm going to steal that. Get after your donkey. I love that.
Well, I got lots of phrases. I don't think I made up a single one of them either. But I steal everything that I got. But the one thing I don't steal is that, and I grew up. I have a great dad. He's just a wonderful guy, and I know that a lot of these kids, they don't have that. Well, I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be that guy that's, I got a tab. I was telling somebody earlier this morning, I got a tab in the lunchroom. If anybody needs to get a lunch, they just put on old Coach Sandford's tab, and they're going to get a lunch. And it doesn't matter if they're an athlete or not. I don't care. But that's one of the things that my wife and I had designed to do is that we're going to make sure that, these kids are going to get a meal. They're going to get some love. They're going to get a helping hand, and they're going to get after it too. But, it's not a harassing deal, but it's an ongoing deal. If I don't see a kid in that weight room, they're going to know about it, and they're going, oh, here comes Coach again. And but they're also going to know that if they need a tuxedo for the prom or whatever it is, money to go take their girl on a Coke date, then they're going to get that. It doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter who it is. In fact, it doesn't matter if it's a fellow coach or not either. If they need that kind of stuff, because that's what we're going to do. Is when we die and we go out and we leave this earth, we don't take all that cool stuff that we have sitting in my office or driving trucks or any of that kind of stuff. It is about those impacts that I make, and hopefully I can get, a couple folks to show up at the funeral anyway.
I love it. So, when people who aren't around this hear about coaches, especially high school coaches, they think about fiery halftime speeches or blowing your whistle and chewing somebody out. Talk about how it's not just you do A, B, and C. It's unique for each kid.
It is, and really, and I told this to some of my young coaches. I said, don't you dare raise your voice and bring out this into a kid until you know that kid. Because if you don't know the kid, or if you don't know your kids as a group, then they're not going to listen to you. You're just going to be just verbal garbage. If you want to yell all the time, that's all they're hearing is the loudness. They're not hearing what you're saying, and so you have to be careful about just the fiery pregame speech or the halftime speeches or any kind of stuff like that. In fact, what we've done, what I've been able to do in most of my career is, the game really does need to take care of itself. It really does. It needs, if the hard work is in practice, the hard work is in film, the hard work is getting those kids to believe in the whole idea and the whole culture anyway. And that's what we're trying to do here at Early to begin with, is change the complete culture of this whole community. And in order to do that, you got to get everybody to believe in the same idea, the same thing that you're trying to do. So if things just aren't doing or going exactly right the way you want them to do, well, that's a part of life anyway. It never goes exactly the way I want it to go. And so we're going to have to do something about it or change what we're doing. And that's where our thinking comes in at halftime. We've got a tremendous staff here at Early that does a tremendous job of making adjustments on the fly within the game and making adjustments at halftime. Our pregame speech is all about, we're going to pray, we're going to shake each other's hand, and we're going to tell each other we love each other, and we're going to hit that tunnel, we're going to hit that field running. But in reality, the Hayes have already done all the hard work. The game is just going to go have a lot of fun.
I love it. So I know you're a positive attitude guy. I love that because that's me too. But I'm sure there are times when things are going tough. When that happens, is there a moment or story from your career that you can think back to make you feel like, okay, this is all going to work out?
Well, I think there's lots of instances that happens because it happens all the time. But, one of the things that, we told our kids in baseball is if you strike out in the first inning, does that mean you're going to strike out in the third inning? And they say no. Well, I said, well then quit predicting what your future is going to be. You don't really know. So you've already had that self-fulfilling prophecy of negativity. Well, it's the same thing in football. If this kid drops a pass and I'm walking right by him and he drops that pass, the first thing he's probably afraid of is that I'm going to yell at him for dropping a pass. I said, no, you get the next one because I'm not going to give up on you, so don't give up on yourself and don't give up on us. Go catch that next one. And the reason that happened is because I was that little guy in high school walking by. Kelly Reeves was my high school head coach, and he was a big bear of a man himself. And I'm walking right by, running a route, and he's walking right by where I'm trying to run a post route. And the only thing he says is, you better catch that, Sandford. And sure enough, the one thing I could always remember is that I'm going to dive and do everything I can. This is in practice. Everything I can to catch his pass. And I did. It wasn't pretty. And it looked awful. It might have made a funniest home videos, but it would have made a YouTube video. And so, but I caught that sucker, and because he said you catch that ball, and I did. And that's so I knew from then on that the positive deal is going to outreach anything else that you're going to do.
Nice, I love it. So, looking forward, what's on your coaching bucket list?
Well, continue to make these associations with the coaches, or keep the relationships going with the coaches that I've been able to coach with in the past. As far as towns or schools or anything like that, I don't know. I think everybody would say they'd like to go coach at this school or that school, but I think you got to be where your feet are and live where your feet are. And I like where my feet are right now, and I think that says something to most of the people that are here around this state, that they like where they are and want to do the job. But it's certainly not as volatile as it used to be. It seems like back in the 60s and 70s where they're always looking for the next job. The people that I'm around, they like where they're at. They want to stay there and plant roots and raise a family in those different communities, and that's certainly what I like doing is continuing that through my career. I was telling somebody the other day that I won't get out of this, only until if I don't have the energy to wake up every morning and go be a part of these coaches and these kids' lives. So my bucket list ends up being more of taking these trips with Kent. We go see Journey and Def Leppard and stuff like that, or take the wife and go do things that we haven't been able to do before. We'll take quick trips to go do that. Those are the things that might be on my bucket list. I tell you what's not on my bucket list is jumping out of airplanes or any of that kind of stuff. I don't want to do any of the skydiving or any of that stuff. But the coaching bucket list I've done. My resume looks really fantastic because I've been able to be in some great programs with some great coaches.
Nice. And I think I told Kent, I got to figure out how I can get involved in these trips with you.
Well, that's right. If you got a desire to hear some old rock and roll, and come on, we'll take anybody. But I'll tell you, our trips are designed around food and the Food Network and Triple D, because we're going to go and we're going to go eat. My mother was a 100% Italian, which makes me, and I'm proud of it, 50% Italian, and that's the eating side. I love to eat, and so it's in fact, I'm trying to diet right now, but it's and which is no fun at all. But it's the thing is that when we go out with these coaches and their wives and get to experience, just have a lot of great laughs. It's that common brotherhood and that common bond of we get to go do this stuff away from school, but we all share the same goal and motivation, which is impacting every kid's lives, years and years and years.
Amen, brother. Coach Blake Sandford, I want to thank you so much for sitting down with me and sharing a little bit of your story.
Well, I'm honored to be asked to do this. This is a great thing that you got going, and this is probably one of the things on the bucket list would be a part of this deal right here, and I really appreciate it.
Love it.
Rocket Man, the story of D.W. Rutledge and the Judson High School football dynasty, is a must-read. It provides complete coverage of every game coached by Rutledge, but more importantly, tells the stories of the impact he has had on the tens of thousands of students, parents, coaches, administrators, and fans. Dr. Charles Breithaupt and Chris Daly, both well-known in the Texas high school football community, joined forces to tell this much-needed and inspiring tale. Get your copy now at rocketmanbook.com.
This show is brought to you by the book, All I Need to Know I Learned from My Texas High School Football Coach, a handbook of wisdom for parents, young people, and yes, even coaches. Head over to www.learnedfromcoach.com and order your copy to support sharing the stories of these great coaches and leaders. That's learnedfromcoach.com.
All right, once again, I want to thank Coach Blake Sandford for sitting down, sharing a little bit of his story with me. And I want to ask you to please support the sponsors of this show. They are so crucial in making sure we can bring you these great stories of these amazing coaches week in and week out. Until next time, we'll see you at the game.